Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next 30 minutes. To attend the STO summit in Tianjin on Sunday. And complete shutdown in engineering institutes across Bangladesh. Classes and exams suspended as part of the students' protest. Up first, updates from the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that 15 people, including one child, were killed in overnight attacks on the country's capital, Kiev. Describing the strikes as a massive attack against the cities, Zelensky said the strike on the Ukrainian capital that wounded dozens shows Moscow has no interest in real diplomacy. According to the authorities, the emergency crews are tackling the aftermath of the attacks at more than 20 sites in the capital. Officials listed numerous buildings that had suffered damage, including several high-rise apartment blocks. Meanwhile, Russian authorities said that they destroyed over 100 Ukrainian drones overnight. A Ukrainian attack sparked a fire at an oil refinery in the Krasnodar region, but caused no casualties. Russian Governor V. Fedoroshev said in a post that the fire from an enemy attack was extinguished in the shortest possible time. With Ukrainian military and military-related infrastructure and has not deliberately targeted civilians. But Ukraine was continuing its own strikes against Russian infrastructure, including against civilian infrastructure.
I'm outraged by the attack on Kyiv, also hitting our EU offices. This was the deadliest drone and missile attack on the capital since July. And as you can see behind me on the screen, it was an attack also on our delegation. I just spoke with our deputy ambassador, and I'm relieved that none of our staff were harmed. Last night's attack struck in close proximity of the diplomatic mission, the representation of our union. 2 missiles hit in a distance of 50 meters of the delegation within 20 seconds.
So that was European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen condemning Russia's latest strikes on Kiev as outrageous. The overnight drone and missile attack damaged the EU delegation's building in the city. Von der Leyen announced that Brussels will soon impose fresh sanctions on Moscow and is pushing ahead to use frozen Russian assets for Ukraine's reconstruction. Meanwhile, European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said on Thursday that EU is summoning the Russian envoy in Brussels after Russia's overnight drone and missile attack on Ukraine's capital damaged the EU delegation's building in Kiev. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said that a new Rheinmetall factory would shore up weapon supplies for Ukraine as well as for Germany and its NATO partners. According to Rheinmetall CEO, Pistorius spoke during the opening of Rheinmetall's new ammunition plant in northern Germany, which will be the largest in Europe at full capacity. Along with Pistorius, the opening of the plant was also attended by NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte and German Vice-Chancellor Lars Klingbeil.
When it comes to negotiations, I learned in my life quite early that there is one rule you should obey to always. Never put anything off the table before the negotiation started, and never put anything on the table before negotiation started. That would be the biggest mistake we can do. Of course, we consider every contribution we might be able and willing to deliver, to provide for security guarantees for Ukraine, but we don't discuss that now publicly. And another point is, Obviously, Germany is the biggest supporter of Ukraine after the US, and our role will become even more important in the months and years to come. So there's nobody I know in the world who will ever doubt our commitment in supporting Ukraine.
Denmark, under its EU presidency, is organizing an informal meeting of foreign affairs ministers on Thursday and Friday. The meeting will provide an opportunity for a strategic discussion of the EU's security and defense cooperation, particularly with regard to the EU's military support to Ukraine and defense readiness. These informal meetings take place once every 6 months. On to West Asia now. US President Donald Trump presided over a policy meeting on Israel's conflict in Gaza and posed plans for the Palestinian territory on with inputs from former British Prime Minister Tony Blair and former Trump Middle East envoy Jared Kushner. Trump, top White House officials, Blair and Kushner discussed the hostage crisis, plans to escalate food aid, post-conflict plans and more. The official described the session as simply a policy meeting. Kushner was a key White House advisor on Middle East in Trump's first term. Blair was Prime Minister during the 2003 Iraq conflict, over which he has faced widespread criticism. Trump had promised a quick end to the conflict in Gaza during his presidential campaign, but a resolution has been elusive since the 7 months into his second term. Trump cast the plan, which he has publicly mentioned in recent weeks, as a redevelopment idea to turn Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East. Separately, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar at the State Department on Wednesday to discuss key issues in Gaza, Lebanon, Syria and Iran. In their meeting, Saar thanked Rubio for his firm commitment to standing by Israel over the years, as well as for the clear support of President Trump's administration for Israel. The two diplomats also discussed the various challenges and opportunities in the Middle East. The Trump administration has proposed new rules to restrict the duration of visas for international students, cultural exchange visitors and foreign journalists. Officials said the move is designed to tighten oversight and reduce misuse. The proposed regulation would create a fixed time period for foreign visas for international students, J visas that allow visitors on cultural exchange programs to work in the US, and I visas for members of the media. According to the proposed data, the student and exchange visa periods would no longer be more than 4 years, while the visa for journalists would be up to 240 days, or in the case of Chinese nationals, 90 days. Japan's top trade negotiator cancelled a visit to the United States at the last minute on Thursday, further delaying talks designed to finalize a $550 billion investment package offered by Tokyo in exchange for relief on punishing tariffs. Ryosei Akawaza was due to fly to Washington to craft a written confirmation of the terms of the package, such as the split of investment returns between the US and Japan. US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has also said that there would be an announcement this week on Japan's investment. Japanese officials have repeatedly said that they would rather have an amended presidential executive order first to remove the overlapping tariffs on Japanese goods before releasing a joint document on the investment details. The United States has agreed to amend the July 31st presidential order to ensure that a 15% levy agreed last month on Japanese imports was not stacked on goods such as beef that are subject to higher tariffs. The Democrats in the US House Foreign Affairs Committee have hit out at President Donald Trump for what they call a double standard policy, penalizing India for buying Russian oil while sparing China, its largest purchaser. The committee warned that Trump's 50% tariffs on Indian imports are not only hurting Americans, but also undermining 2 decades of bipartisan efforts to build US-India ties. Taking to social media platform X, the committee said, instead of imposing sanctions on China or others purchasing larger amounts of Russian oil, Trump's singling out India with tariffs, hurting Americans and sabotaging the US-India relationship in the process. It's almost like it's not about Ukraine at all. Indian-American lawmakers too have voiced concern. Congressman Suhas Subramaniam said these tariffs will raise costs on every American and actually hurt manufacturing in our country. Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy went even further, saying that the new tariffs announced by President Trump are reckless and self-destructive. And next we take a look at other stories making news across the world. Mourners gathered at a vigil at the Academy of Holy Angels in Richfield, Minnesota for the victims of a mass shooting at the Annunciation Catholic Church and School in Minneapolis, where 2 people were shot dead and 17 injured by a shooter. A heavily armed shooter opened fire on Wednesday on school children attending a church service before killing himself. The latest violent tragedy adds to the list of 146 shootings in the United States since January this year. In Lome, the capital of Togo, a budding animation studio is gaining attention. It creates 2D films that bring African stories to life. The goal is to highlight Africa's creativity and innovation. Its vision is to portray an Africa shaping the world's future. In Mexico City, the Basilica hosted the 25th annual Clown Pilgrimage. Members of the Mexico Clown Club joined the colorful celebrations. The event highlighted joy, laughter, and unity among the clowns. It is aimed to show togetherness beyond all boundaries. In northern Italy, apple farmers have found a new way of getting their harvest down the hills and into storage caves. A cable car system is installed for transportation of the fruit. The cable line covers the distance of 1.3 kilometers and a 90-meter drop. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Indian economy holds steady despite tariff pressures, may emerge as the second largest economy in the world by 2038, says EY's Economy Watch. India-Bangladesh agree to curb trans-border crimes during DG-level border talks today. And India's National Sports Day celebrations planned from August 29th to 31st to honour hockey wizard Major Dhyan Chand.
When enough food is produced to feed everyone on the planet, hunger should be the thing of the past. How did we get here and what can be done about it?
India is a very important country for us, a very important partner. We also hope to be tapping into India's growing influence in the world. So we have signed a letter of intent to establish a partnership where India will make available in a predictable way affordable and high quality rice for our operations.
Welcome back.
That exists between the two countries, and it drives the agenda of the India-Japan Special Strategic and Global Partnership.
This is a significant visit for several reasons. It's Prime Minister Modi's first annual summit with Prime Minister Ishiba. It is also his first standalone visit to Japan in nearly 7 years. He last visited for the annual summit in 2018. This will be a visit that will be fully dedicated to the bilateral agenda between India and Japan. This is also Prime Minister's 8th visit to Japan since he took office in 2014.
The two leaders will review the special strategic and global partnership between India and Japan, including defense and security, trade and economy, technology and innovation, people-to-people exchanges, as well as discuss issues of regional and global importance. The visit will reaffirm the long-standing special bond of friendship between India and Japan.
India and Japan are trust-bound partners, aiming at becoming the two largest pillars of growth. Growth that is open, rules-based, democratic, the kind of growth that China could ill afford to supply. Prime Minister Modi may still miss his soulmate, the late Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, but we must go on. And with the present leader, Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, both leaders should dream big and think long.
A special cultural welcome awaits Prime Minister Modi upon his arrival in Tokyo. During his visit, PM will engage with the Indian diaspora, interact with other political leaders from Japan. He will also participate in a business leaders forum with captains of Japanese and Indian industry. These interactions are aimed at deepening the vibrant trade, investment and emerging technologies partnerships between the two countries. After Tokyo, both Prime Ministers are expected to travel to Sendai, a city known for its semiconductors, in a bullet train. India and Japan are two of the leading democracies in Asia and among the 5 top economies in the world. When the two leaders meet for the annual summit, they will have an opportunity to take stock of the progress made over the years in diverse domains, from security to semiconductors. India-Japan partnership also has significant implications for the Indo-Pacific and beyond. With camera person Anil Thakur, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Tokyo.
India's economic rise is gaining fresh momentum. A new report by Ernst & Young projects that by 2038, India could emerge as the world's second largest economy in purchasing power parity terms, with a GDP of $34.2 trillion. The report says India is now the most dynamic among the world's top 5 economies, driven by high savings and investment, a young workforce and a sustainable fiscal path. Among the largest economies, India stands out with a median age of 28.8 years in 2025, the second highest savings rate, and a government debt to GDP ratio projected to decline from 81.3% in 2024 to 75.8% by 2030, unlike peers where debt levels are rising. As per the IMF, India's economy could reach $20.7 trillion in PPP terms by 2030. Using average growth rates for 2028 to 2030 as projected by the IMF, India may become the world's second largest economy in PPP terms by 2038, with a projected GDP of $34.2 trillion. Reforms such as GST, IBC, financial inclusion through UPI and production-linked incentives are strengthening competitiveness across industries. At the same time, public investment in infrastructure and adoption of emerging technologies like AI, semiconductors, renewables are driving long-term resilience. India is also projected to become the third largest economy in market exchange rate terms by 2028, overtaking Germany. India and Bangladesh have agreed to curb trans-border crimes during DG-level border talks by adopting extra precautionary measures such as increasing coordinated patrols, enhancing vigilance. The agreement was issued by Indian Border Security Force and Border Guard Bangladesh upon completion of the 4-day Director General level border conference in Dhaka. Both sides also agreed to remain cautious and steadfast to stop smuggling through sharing of real-time information, investigation reports of traffickers, and remaining extra vigilant to curb such crimes. Both delegations reiterated their zero-tolerance stance against any armed insurgent groups operating across the border and agreed to take necessary measures to prevent any kind of terrorist activities through real-time information sharing. Still with Bangladesh, academic activities came to a halt at all engineering universities and colleges on Thursday as students under the banner of Engineering Rights Movement enforced a complete shutdown across the country. The protest follows Wednesday's clashes in Dhaka, where law enforcers allegedly attacked the students during their demonstrations. On Thursday morning, classrooms and exam halls at Rajshahi, Khulna and Chittagong University of Engineering and Technology remained empty. Similar scenes were reported nationwide, with students boycotting all academic activities. When you think of Germany, you think of cars and the Autobahn, the country's famed highway system. But in an effort to lower carbon emissions, Berlin wants more people to switch to rail for traveling. Except the German rail provider is in dire straits. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin now. Lars, thank you for being with us. What can you tell us about the current situation?
Thanks for having me. Indeed, the Deutsche Bahn, as the rail provider is called, is in deep trouble and has actually been in deep trouble for many years. The company is infamous for delays and disruptions, but right now the biggest concern is that the company doesn't even have leadership. Technically, of course, there's a CEO in charge right now, but he's been fired a few days ago by the government. That is because Deutsche Bahn is not really a private company. It is set up pretty much like a regular company, but it's fully state-owned. So the new government, frustrated with how business is going at the Bahn, stepped in. They told the CEO that his time will be over, but only once they found a successor. The problem is, so far no one has been found. Apparently, some top managers were asked, but politely declined the offer. And meanwhile, the lame duck CEO is likely not very motivated to lead any longer.
Lars, so what are the options for future here? What's going to happen to the German railroad?
Well, the company needs a strategy for the future, that's for sure. But maybe it also needs competition. In Italy, they had very similar problems a few years ago. But ever since the state-owned rail provider there got competition from a private company using the same tracks, of course, things did actually improve. Trains got more punctual, prices are down. So maybe that's an idea to copy. Of course, the German system still needs a lot of work on its infrastructure, but it also needs to change its perspective and keep a closer eye on customers' needs. And for that, actually, one analyst recently had another idea, a small change to the perks for any new CEO. And that would be that he should not get a chauffeured business car any longer. The idea was to make the CEO take his own trains every day for short and long distances, so that at least he can experience how bad things really are, and hoping that it will change his perspective and actually help improve things.
Thank you, Lars. Lars Holter there reporting from DW Berlin. India will celebrate its Sports Day on August 29th to honor hockey wizard Major Dhyan Chand. This year, the celebrations will be organized as a 3-day nationwide sports and fitness movement from August 29th to 31st. The aim is to foster a culture of mass participation in sports and fitness activities across India. We have a report.
The Indian government will celebrate National Sports Day 2025 as a 3-day mass movement of sports and fitness. The day is celebrated every year on 29th August to commemorate the birth anniversary of hockey legend Major Dhyan Chand. India's Sports Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia will lead the Pan-India sports movement from 29th to 31st August under the inspiring theme Ek Ghanta Khel ke Maidan Mein, which means 1 hour in playground. The movement seeks to spread awareness about the importance of dedicating at least 60 minutes daily to physical activity for preventing lifestyle diseases. The spirit of National Sports Day also pays special tribute to Olympic values of excellence, friendship, respect, and Paralympic values of courage, determination, inspiration, and equality. The framework for the 3-day festival is as follows. On day 1, tributes will be paid to Major Dhyan Chand across the nation, followed by Fit India Pledge and 1 hour of playing sports. Day 2 will see sports debates, fitness talks and competitions in indigenous and other sports. The celebrations will culminate with Fit India Sundays on Cycle on day 3, a nationwide drive to promote cycling as an integral part of life. Eminent athletes and public representatives are set to take part in the celebrations and engage in sports activities which will bring over 35 crore students from different schools, colleges and universities together.
मेजर ध्यानचंद जी की लेगेसी हमें इंस्पायर करते हैं कि स्पोर्ट्स से देश को और स्ट्रॉन्ग बनाए। वेटलिफ्टिंग ने मुझे सिखाया कि छोटी मेहनत भी बड़ी उपलब्धियां ला सकते हैं। स्पोर्ट्स हमें एकजुट कराता है। 29 to 31 अगस्त के 3 days मेगा सेलिब्रेशन का हिस्सा बने और खेल को जिंदगी का पार्ट बनाए।
Aligned with India's vision of hosting the Olympic Games in 2036, the celebrations aim to foster a culture of mass participation in sports and fitness activities across Bharat. The celebrations are designed to be inclusive of all age groups, from children playing indigenous games to youth sports competitions to yoga sessions and cycling rallies. The vision is to unite the entire nation to celebrate inclusively, embracing both modern sports and traditional indigenous games. Sports Desk, DD India.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for news and updates on your fingertips. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thank you for watching. Namaskar.